All right, guys. So we're inside the KARMA's facility in Moreno Valley, California, and we are reconnecting with President Marques McCammon here, who's going to give us a nice little tour of the factory. And what is this facility called specifically again?
So this is the KARMA Innovation and Customization Center. Okay, and it's to give a nod to the fact that every vehicle that we build has a level of customization and a level of personalization in it. We have the abilities to do that here in the plant, and you'll see a little bit of that as we go around.
Cool.
All right.
All right. Well, let's get the show on the road.
The truth is that our facility is configured where we can do about 15,000 units a year. Right now, we're starting production with a relatively small volume. With the third generation REVERO, we're going to build less than 200 globally. And then as we add additional models, some of the models that our viewers have already seen, all of those will just get added in this plant. So the reality is we don't need to add any more capacity to build out our business plan. It's already here. We're already facilitized for it. And what we can do is we can reconfigure the space as we need in order to support our production. We're going to start down at the other side of the plant. I'm going to show you where the whole production process starts, from the place where we start picking parts all the way through a body shop, and then we'll come back here and we'll finish on this end. And I'll explain that as we go along. So got a little bit of a walk in front of you. We have about 550,000 square feet in this facility. This facility we acquired in 2014. We built out this entire facility, including the power supply, all the lighting and the infrastructure that supports it. So this is really a very well-contained and very modern assembly facility. One of the things that's pretty interesting about how this plant is structured is in North America, you usually don't have plants that are designed for limited volume production. This is something that is more common in Europe, even though there's still very few of them. But to have a plant that's reconfigurable that can do a range of volume from the hundreds to the low thousands, like I said, 15,000 units, is pretty unique. And I can say that because I used to be in a contract manufacturing business back when I was in Detroit. So I'm in the plant generally once a week. I walk every single area in the plant. I go station by station, check on the team. I ask them for things that they need help with, places where we can make improvements. And then I try to offer whatever experience and background that I have as well. Now, granted, the team that runs this place is well deeper into the details than I am. But, usually we have pretty good conversations. We're able to learn from each other.
Yeah. So if you can just share with me just like kind of just a little bit of your your background and your experience, because I know you're very experienced in the automotive industry, but I'd love to hear, your experience and just like just some of the ways you've been able to apply that here and in your position.
No problem. So I started off my formal automotive career at Chrysler Corporation. One of the first assignments that I had was working in the assembly plant at the launch of the Grand Cherokee, the second generation Grand Cherokee. So in contrast, that was a plant that did 300,000+ units a year. We had a car running off the line every 30 seconds. And so that was my real introduction to automotive production. I worked in trim chassis final, so the equivalent of this area here. And in that environment, making sure that the plant never saw a delay in throughput was paramount. If you stopped the line, it was like the heavens opened up and all hellfire rained on top of your head. So, while I was at Chrysler, I had lots of different jobs: program management, product planning, strategy, product development. So I started to learn the kind of corporate side, the business of things. But then after I left Chrysler, I went to work for a company called ASC Incorporated. So ASC was a specialty vehicle manufacturer. We manufactured the Chevy SSR for General Motors, and we basically built the whole car in kits. And then we moved it into a GM facility where they did final assembly of the product. We also manufactured the Toyota Solara convertible. So Toyota would produce the Toyota Solara as a coupe, and they would send it to us, and we would retrofit the body, restructure it, add the top, and then send it back. So playing in low volume manufacture was something that I had a lot of experience with. After ASC Incorporated, I went and I was a general manager of Saleen. And Saleen, we were a high performance vehicle manufacturer, but our core business was we brought Mustangs and F-150s from Ford. We brought them into our plant, deconstructed the cars, and then rebuilt them as higher performance cars under our own label. So I learned that that business, we were doing 3,000 units a year in a facility about half the size of this one. And then also at Saleen, we painted body panels for the Viper. We painted all the body panels for the Ford GT, and we built the Saleen S7. So that's everything from a vehicle that we only built, 7 to 12 of a year to 3,000 a year. So my manufacturing experience really spans from very, very, very low volume, very niche. I mean, the Saleen S7 at the time was a $500,000 car, to high volume production. Grand Cherokee was at that time, so we're talking late 90s. So it was a $35,000 base price car. And again, we were making 300,000 of them a year.
Wow, that's very impressive. And if you had to share like one or two things, do you have one or two things that you would say are high or in a low compared to your previous experience versus working here? Like, what I mean by that is, do you prefer working on this low production, like very customized process, or did you enjoy working more in the volume side of things?
Well, I enjoyed both because I think you learn a lot in the high volume space. You understand the value of time, right? So a lot of people don't understand what it takes to go into building a car, right? I mean, you're talking about 5,000 parts that all have to come together in such a perfect way, not only because of safety, but because of consumer expectation. Now, an automobile is the most complicated consumer product that there is on the planet, okay? So understanding how to do that and do it in a repeatable fashion and do it at scale, it's science. I mean, it really is. So that part in high volume production, I really enjoyed. Now, but my preference is low volume because it's intimate. I like the fact that every time a car comes off the line, when we're doing custom production like this, you basically can say, you can trace your car back to the person, to the craftsman. You can get to know who the person was that welded your body or finished your paint, and that makes it personal. So, I mean, I love cars, right? And I've always loved cars. And so I am not in love with when a vehicle becomes a commodity, right? Where mine is just like everybody else's. I like story, right? I mean, I remember the first time I bought a BMW, I searched around for a year and a half for a specific vintage of 540 with a manual transmission that had the halo headlights, because it was the first 5 Series I had ever had. And because I wanted to have that one with the M Sport, and there were only like 2,000 made in the US, and I had to drive 5.5 hours to Chicago to get it. That story, is what made the car special to me. And I like the fact that I get to give that back to someone else.
Very cool.
So where we're walking through right now is one half of our material supply area. So we stock up the parts to build our cars. So one of the things that's really important to me is when we think about how we go into production, I don't like to make big promises. Having been in the industry for about 30 years now, I know what it's like when you make big promises to the market and to your customers and you can't fulfill them. So we have tried very, very carefully to make sure that when we have put forth a vision, we have already done the vast majority of the homework in advance of that. So the material to build our cars for this year and most of next year, much of it we've already acquired. Okay. Now, what we do with this material is we go through and we check and we recheck it to make sure that it's going to meet our quality standards. So as we go through the plant today, you're going to see we've been really, really finicky as we relaunch the company and relaunch our production, because we can't come out into the market and people's, their first impressions not be delight. Okay. So we had a few cars that we produced 3 weeks ago, and I've held them in the plant for 3 weeks and we've sent team after team here to make sure that every detail about how the car was executed was going to meet our standard before we ship them out. Okay. So we'll cut right through here. So where we're arriving now, this is our body shop. Okay. So the body shop is the heart and soul of the vehicle. One of the things that's I'm really proud of is our cars are built with an all aluminum space frame. And our body shop is a combination of manual and robotic welding. So all of the welders in our body shop are master welders. One, welding of aluminum is a special skill set, okay, especially high strength aluminum. But more importantly, the repeatability of the welds is critical to the quality of the car and the stability of the space frame. So every one of these cars, we do multiple checks of dimensional tolerance and accuracy, consistency of the welds, how much heat has been introduced at the weld, so that we know that we're consistent in our production process. Okay, so some of this area is shrouded, so we'll bypass the shrouded areas. But like I said, the thing that I love is that you see this combination of very sophisticated robots. Okay, where we're doing riveting, welding. We have several different kinds of welding here in the facility. We're doing MIG and TIG and spot. But then we'll see the human members of the team who are in here. They're setting the fixtures and doing some of that welding by hand. Okay. So any place you see the blue shielding, that's because there's actual physical welding happening. We want to make sure that we're not causing any eye damage or glare. We're going to go around because we don't want to cut across any of these stations. This is all heavy machinery and heavy equipment.
I got to say, I was just in another factory tour with a larger OEM, and it's just kind of amazing, like how much more low-key it is in here compared to the other OEM. It was a major Japanese automaker I was with. Yep. And it was just constantly go.
Yeah, exactly. And so for us, it's different for two reasons. One, as we restart, we're restarting with what I think is a modest volume, right? REVERO has been a part of the KARMA brand for just about 10 years. This is the third generation of the car. And frankly, this is probably going to be the last generation of the REVERO nameplate. So we want to make sure that we send it off with glory. Okay. So with the total volume being less than 200 units, that makes the car collectible and desirable. And we want to make sure that every person that gets one has a story to tell. Now, as we go forward, you were there when we launched GYSERA at Amelia Island. GYSERA, we have KAVEYA we've announced, IVARA we've announced. All of them will be built in the same plant. So as KARMA goes over the next few years, the pace and the sound and the energy of this place will just continue to accelerate. Okay, so one of the things that you notice in automotive right now is there's a lot of talk about automation, right? And automation is great, and it is quite appropriate for high volume manufacturing. For us, it's about knowing when automation is essential and when craftsmanship is essential. And the blend we think is right for the KARMA brand. Okay, so you see, we've got lots of capital equipment that we've invested in this facility. You'll see it all over the place. I mean, in total, there's hundreds of millions of dollars in facilities and assets in this building, and we keep adding more. I think, but the other thing that's really important to recognize is, again, these are like heirlooms, right? So when you buy a KARMA, there's a story. I have a vehicle that they only made 200 of them in this year. I'm the only person that has this color. I'm the only person that has this trim package. This vehicle was made when Kelly was running the body shop, right? These types of things we want our customers to hold on to because we think it's part of car culture, right? If you've ever been into car collecting, classic cars, a numbers matching Shelby GT 500 67 fastback. It's one of the most valuable cars you can find in America. So this is one of my favorites, to see how they take the full body of the car and they articulate it around so that they can access the underbody, the body sides, so that they can get to all the areas where we need to do welds. So I could stand here and watch these guys all day. I sit here, I come usually on Fridays. Friday's usually my day in the plant, and I spend about half of my day here just kind of walking around. So last week I was in the paint shop most of the time. The week before that I was in GA. Body shop is my new fun place. But we're always trying to find a way to, and this is the art and science. We want to make sure that we give them the space to be the craftsmen that we want them to be, but we also want to make sure that we're not wasting any time. So any time that our master welder is spending trying to move parts around or trying to clean his tools or any of that, that's waste. We want the master welder doing master welding, right? And then we try and set up the systems to provide them the support so they focus on what they do best. Well, one of the things that's really interesting is, so our guys come in with external certifications of their welding skills, right? ASE certified welders. But then once they get here, they have to go through a rigorous training process that's our own. Okay, so you come in here with great skill and then we level you up. And that's important to me as well, because one of the things, KARMA has there's three facets to the KARMA business. Okay, it's our products, of course. We want to make beautiful cars that everyone loves, but we're also very much invested in technology and the community. We think that we have an opportunity to contribute to the development of the next generation workforce, people who will have the skills necessary to support the expansion of low carbon vehicles well into the future, which means that you're going to have familiarity with lightweight materials. You'll have to have familiarity with electrification and high voltage. You have to have familiarity with software and AI. So we want to use our facilities and our development process to reach out into our community so that we can level everyone up. So the fact that you come in here with a great skill set and we have the ability to train you more and make you better, we think it's fantastic, because as you have natural attrition in a operation, then you're effectively helping the community to grow. Now, I will say the retention that we have with our workforce is pretty high. Most of these guys have been here for 5 to 7 years. How you doing, Chief? So like I said, this is robotic jigging and fixturing. So all these benches are highly calibrated so that we know that every piece of metal goes exactly where it's supposed to be. This sets up the core structure of our space frame. Okay, so the robots will come and clamp it into position. They'll check location. They got accurate location in X, Y, and Z down to tenths of a millimeter, and then that supports the body shop team as they're welding the components into place to make sure that we're building the car the same way every single time. We have data systems that run throughout the plant. They're all connected via Wi-Fi so that we have accuracy and traceability from every station. So we basically can fingerprint a car from the time that it begins its production all the way through it till it goes to the end. So we'll go up here just a little bit, halfway. You can see on this cart, this is what the car will look like when it comes out of the body shop. So they'll come down this line. They'll finish on a dolly here. They'll be on one of these white carts and then one of these orange carts, and in the orange cart, this is what we would call a body in white. We'll then move the body in white into the paint shop, and we'll go there next. And this guy coming down here, this is my buddy Daryl. So when I started off at KARMA, Daryl is our head of quality. When I did my first all hands meeting, Daryl says to me, "Marcus, what does quality mean to you?" and he asked me, was I going to be committed to quality and the work that he and his team are going to do? So far, we've given Daryl every resource that he's asked for. He's driving programs across the business, looking at every place where we can improve quality with a systematic process based on Lean and Six Sigma and a bunch of other industry buzzwords that I can give you. But that guy, he's usually here 3 days out of every week, and then back and forth managing his team doing the production engineering side. So he checks quality at our supplier, at the plant, finish, and then also the process that we drive in product development to make sure the quality is going to be there. Right here is actually the manager of the entire body shop. Okay. And one of the things that I love about Kelly is she's a player coach. So she's in here welding right alongside with her team, but she's also the one that trains them. She manages the throughput. She plans the output and takes a lot of pride in what she does. So, absolutely. Yeah. I love building. Very cool.
I'm going to get back to work.
Yep. So she's working with a team right now. So one of the things that we've been doing is looking at where are the places where we have any constraint in the plant. Are there places where we can remove bottlenecks so that we get more throughput? Again, helping the people who are masters at their skill do the things that they are masters at. She is an absolute master welder, and she's the one that trains the rest of our welding team. So we want to do everything that we can to support her, because she is basically the beginning of our whole throughput. So on that side, they're actually doing, you'll see the robots running on the other side. They're hemming the doors, okay? See the carousel that's moving around over there? Got it. So that carousel takes the door inner and the door outer. The robots will then bring those two things together and hem around the outside edge to make the complete door card. On our third gen REVERO, the doors and the body are all aluminum. Let me see. As a matter of fact, we can step over. Come on. Just watch your step. Good. How are you? So, take a second. Tell the guys what you're working on over here.
Hi, how's it going? Right here we're building the rear subframe for the we're pulling the road part of it. First you gotta treat starts and then load them up. The robot pretty much does the rest.
Very cool, man.
Thank you.
Thanks for sharing.
Watch. You'll see the robots moving on the other side. So the rear subframe will carry the chassis and the motor. Again, it has to be dimensionally correct. Is core to the overall architecture and performance of the car. So this is the place where we put the robots to work. And then in a second, as he's fixturing it, you'll see the card flip down and you'll see the subframe come down.
And it always amazes me, like how, how you mentioned before that, like how cars are so complex and there's 1,000 moving parts to them. But then it's also, it puts into perspective too, like how complex these robots are.
Yeah. And
all these assembly lines. So it's like machines on machines. It's like machineception.
That's right.
Like machine on machine on machine. Just like, there's a whole operation to create the robots that make these assembly robots. And then that is just another process to make the already complicated end product, which is the automobile.
So you spend a bunch of time engineering a machine to help you engineer and build a machine. That's right. and the accuracy of every part of the process is critical. So in the back is where we're doing the door hemming. So you see we got a door inner that's up in the air. It's going to come down, get rotated and mated to its other parts. Now, a lot of times, people have asked about KARMA and our relationship to FISKER, right? So we bought FISKER's assets. The first FISKER Automotive Inc., when the company went bankrupt in 2012, we bought the assets. Now, some of those assets sit here. Some of the floor fixturing, this robot here, but most of what we bought, we use for training, okay? A lot of what you see inside of this plant, these are investments that we made ourselves. So we learned from how those original assets were put together, and then we upgraded it because a lot of it wasn't really applicable to our business. We have had absolutely no relationship with that company ever since we bought those assets. But what it did do, by buying those assets, it allowed us to accelerate the establishment of this facility. We were much more cost effective when we put it up. And then it allowed us to get up and running in production much faster. So that's the only connection we really have.
So basically, it's just they pretty much had the groundwork done already, and
they had some of the groundwork done. They had some of the machining and the machinery and equipment defined. Some of it didn't really work for us in terms of what we wanted, and honestly, we've tried to make sure that the quality has improved from that point, and it has considerably. And then when we launched our second gen REVERO, it was 80% new content, right? And so a lot of the facilities and the fixturing that we had to reinvest and we had to build ourselves, okay? But we were able to kind of save some money and skip some steps to move ahead faster. And that we just think is good business. But, you're talking about, what was that, 2000, we opened this facility in 2014. So, everything that you see and have seen from KARMA from 2016 on it's all us. So here you got hoods. This is the hood hemming area over here. We have legacy training robots, and then you have your more modern ones on the other side. So we break the hood outer and the hood inner together. The robots will spin them around. They'll hem them and weld them together so that they're ready to go onto the vehicle. Once they get done with that, they will get mated up into this line. You see the hoods are staged here. They'll add them to the vehicle, and then we'll find our way into the paint shop.
Right.
So on this side, you see a collection of parts. Inside of that great big gray box is our CMM lab. So that is where we check dimension and tolerancing. So we will take a whole car like this one. It'll go into that lab, and we have a bunch of very skilled technicians and engineers. They will check every particular datum point on the car to make sure that we've built it consistent. They'll check the welds, they'll check the paint, they'll check the filler to make sure that we've got consistency in what we're doing so that we know that the car is of high quality. So this is the most secure area in the plant. This is our clean room. This is our paint facility. Okay. So we will do everything that we can to stay out of the guy's way. But every time that the door opens, we have air control so that we don't let particulates in that can contaminate the paint. Okay.
So it's basically a hermetically sealed.
Yes. Room. So this is one of the true jewels of KICC. We have a highly automated robotic paint system, but it's designed for high quality, low volume. Those two things usually don't go together in our industry. Okay, so the same type of processes and equipment that you would see at pick your large manufacturer is what you're going to see here, but ours is designed for cars that, again, are sitting at the pinnacle of the marketplace. So a car comes in here on an orange carrier. The orange carrier gets staged just outside of this. This is my favorite robot in the whole plant. Okay. So the car rolls off of this carrier and it goes into these giant arms, this giant claw over here. This carrier will come down and lift the car on this carousel. And it will carry it through all of these different stations. And we will wash, and we will electrocoat, and we will clear coat, and all the way down the line.
So this is pretty much the corrosion prevention station.
So you got wash, this is prep, then you have e-coat, then you got a second stage of it, you got rinse, and it'll go all the way through all of these phases until it comes out on the other side, and it will be coated and primed. And then it gets to run through here, where the paint happens on the other side. So this vehicle over here is stage ready for paint. It's really kind of fun because the metal body goes through this process. The fender, the deck lid, are composite, so they come through a more of a manual paint and prime process. They get staged here on the outside, and then it all comes together here where the robots will do the final paint and finish. So we have a detailed analysis of every surface layer of the paint process, from the primer, how thick should it be, how dense should it be, then to the color, then to the multiple coats of color, to the clear. You see the chart over there on the wall, and it outlines the surface. And the team measures it in great detail. It's right here. Oh, sorry. No problem. But this is the process that we're going to run through. And look, we specified 25.4 micrometers of prime, base coat, clear coat. Okay, and then once it comes out here, it'll go around the carousel on the other side, and anything that we don't like, then the inspectors and the technicians get a hold of it. This facility is pretty unique in the U.S. Again, in terms of the capability and the scale of volume it's designed for, and it's extremely unique in California. And that's another thing that we're super proud of, is that we are truly a California vehicle company. We design it here, we manufacture it here, and then we even have our retail experience showroom center here, where we spend our time understanding how the customer is going to engage, what does the customer journey feel like. So the car will go through there, it'll get paint in color, it gets baked inside of this. This is a giant oven, is what this is here. It comes down, this turntable will bring the vehicle out, it'll rotate, and then the car will slide over into the next section.
Okay.
So you see this one is loaded, getting ready to come up, get color. So it's at prime down there. Come through, it'll go into color. After color, then it'll go through this long tunnel, which is the oven. And then after it's cured, it'll lay it here, rotate, and then we'll put it on the cart on this side. So this body here has finished that process. This is our Pacifico gray. This is the same color that we featured the INVICTUS in. Very, very cool. When we get this color in the lights, you'll see it's got all kinds of fiery red pearl. It's very, very slick. Here you see a body in prime. We've got wet sand across the car. So this one's been colored. Now it's got wet sand all the way across it. So we're looking for any imperfection. We want to make sure that it's dead smooth so that the clear coat, it should look like a show car when we're done. Like, look at that. You wouldn't even be able to tell that was actually, that's a painted part, right? Now, one of the reasons why we call this the Innovation and Customization Center is along the side here, we also have manual paint booths, and we have master painters here. So if we ever get to a place where a customer wants something special, you pick the color, your mother's favorite color, and you want that to be your car because you're going to give this car to your mom, or it's your favorite baseball team, whatever the case may be. Then we would have our master painters take them offline, and they go into these booths and they paint those by hand. Now that costs a little bit more, but for our customer, they want something a little bit unique. They want something that's special. I always love this monster. This is where we do paint trials. So we give the team a slave body. They try different kinds of paint combination, different color, different clear coat. So this thing is it's horrible to look at, but it's a part of the process of how we learn how to make things perfect. So we experiment there, and then this is what you get when you get to the real thing. And here's an example of one of the hand paint situations. Okay, so this has gone through the base process to put the undercoat, and then it comes into this booth. Now it's being painted. They're going through section by section detail. They polish wet sand and finish this. Now it's under the heating lights, getting ready to be finished. This is where our master paint and paint repair techs live. You can see some of this is their pinstriping, and there's some of the samples of their work. So they love this stuff. They love it when someone says, hey, I want my car to be different. I want something unique. I want something special. Like, they get off on it. It's fantastic. So the gentleman down there is Evan. He's our plant manager. He's working with the paint shop supervisor, trying to figure out what are the things that we can do to keep driving quality. So when we were here last time, we did a walkthrough. We found some places where we wanted to make sure that we had some quality improvement. That's what those guys are walking through now. They give me reports every single day.
So how long would you say is from order to finish, like to the end customer? So how long does it usually take to make one car?
So if a customer wanted a special order car, we can do it in as little as 30 days. Normally, though, we tell people that it's going to take probably about 3 months. And that's just because we have orders that come, we have volume orders that come from our dealers as well. So it's a matter of staging. Okay, in order for us to make sure that we deliver on consistent quality, we have to make sure that we're not breaking the flow, right? But yeah, we can potentially go from an order to a finished car in about a month's time.
Good art takes time.
Yes, it does. Yes, it does. So the team is breaking for lunch. Yeah, they've got well, it's not lunch, but they have a break time. So now we're in the general assembly area, okay? And similar to what you saw in the other, you'll see that we've got AGVs, so small robots that we deploy across the plant, but then we also have a lot of things on push cart. What's going on, man?
How you doing?
So this area is where the whole thing comes together. Up until this point, what you saw was kind of pieces of frame and pieces of body. In the paint shop, you got to begin to see the essence of a car. But now we're going to put this thing on wheels. We're going to add the motor. We're going to add the gearbox. We're going to put the wheels and tires in the chassis. We're going to add the interior. This is when it truly becomes a real car. So on this side, we're building up the doors. So we take the raw doors that were on the car. We take them off the car. Now they're in paint. Then they're going to assemble. We're going to put in the window mechanisms, all the controls for the mirrors, and then we're going to test in each section. So you see these gray boxes here. Those are our test equipment. Everything's on carts and rollers so that we can be agile, because we often reconfigure the plant. So if we find that there's a way that we can make material move faster, or we can make it easier for people with less steps in between actions, then we reconfigure things, and then we'll put these, we anchor them back to the floor, and we go after it again. These carts will carry the doors. There's one for the left and one for the right. They'll follow the cart around down the line so that when it's time for them to be added back to the body, everybody knows what part goes where. We've got door glass and windshield over here. That's actually, it gets added via this robot. The team is over here building up. You've got powertrain line is on the other side. They feed the powertrain. So you see the chassis and the cart over there. So the powertrain, the whole front. So you got the whole front powertrain. The front suspension is on one cart. The rear is on another cart. They bring them to the center. We lift, and it gets decked underneath. Lots and lots and lots of material. Like I said, each REVERO is roughly 5,000 parts. So it's a pretty sophisticated machine. And the fact that we go through and we try to have this human touch makes them really special. But it also means that we have to have good controls and good systems. So you'll see these little black benches around with the computers on top. Those are all connected to our network system. Every wrench, every tool in this building is linked into one data management system. So every time that we put a bolt in place, we know who put the bolt in, how long it took them to put the bolt in, how much torque it took to put that bolt down, and whether or not that met the specification. So this area over here is staging. And so we'll do one stop over here in final inspection, and then I'll talk to you about staging. So we have staging here and we have staging on the other side. And the staging is intended, this is before we button up the last pieces of the car. We're looking for any quality error, any place where there's an imperfection, because when we finally put everything together, we want to make sure all the gaps are perfect, that we have flush surface to surface. So, and then once you button it up, taking it apart makes things a little bit more difficult. Okay. So these cars are staging for Europe, and they're going through their quality inspection. We had a review a couple of weeks ago. We found some things that I wasn't happy with. And so the team has a build board that they're working on, and they're going through those issues. The ones on the other side are staging for North America. Okay. But the real exciting part is we actually will start shipping the first lot out tomorrow.
And KARMAs are sold internationally?
KARMAs are sold internationally. So we have 21 dealers in the US. We have, I think now 3 in Canada. We have 6 in Europe, and we just added a new dealer in Dubai. So that station down there is our final quality audit. So they will bring the car in. Notice that area is more well lit than every place else in the plant. They also have the tunnel of lights. So they'll go through and they'll look at the car. What we have is daylight equivalent fluorescence, so that they can get a sense of what the car would look like out in the sunlight. Then they'll turn on the entire tunnel and they'll look for any imperfection. That's the last step that we do before we put a car on a truck and ship it to a customer. Again, we want the car and the experience of the car to be very, very premium. So we got to make sure that we're checking and rechecking. The other thing that we do is periodically, we actually have our customer service team, the team that trains all of our technicians, all of our mechanics. They're the frontline interface for our dealers. They come and they inspect the car. So now after the plant's done it, we bring people who have a direct advocacy for the customer. They come in, look again, and they'll say whether or not it meets our requirements or not. And so again, this check and recheck makes our process a little bit slower, But I think it's the things that we have to do to make sure that we start off on the right foot.
Is that another staging area over there?
So that's another, yeah. So that's the North American staging area. This is Europe. And then that up the center is what we call the final line. So they'll do the rolls test. They'll check the emissions. They will calibrate the ADAS system. And then the final thing is it gets a wash. After the car gets washed, it'll go out that door. And then we have a test track on the outside where they will do 0 to 60 acceleration. They'll run it over a rumble pad. They'll do a skid pad to make sure that everything's performing well. They'll listen for any noises or buzzes or anything. It'll come back into inspection. Again, if it doesn't meet, then it goes back into this line.
And then you guys don't make right-hand drive. You guys are all left-hand drive.
We're all left-hand drive right now. Yeah. All left-hand drive right now. We'll see how things go in the future. But the right-hand, I mean, the left-hand drive market for us is strong. And again, mine is crawl, walk, run. Okay. So I don't want to try and be overly audacious and find that we make mistakes because we're trying to do too much too fast. There's been enough people in the industry who've done that already.
Fair enough. Well, guys, I got to say, this was a really, really impressive tour. Got to give a huge thanks to Marques McCammon over here. Again, president of KARMA CEO. He's just going to share with us again, just like, what KARMA is all about and just like his little conclusion here.
Yeah, not a problem. So again, thank you for joining us. This is our Moreno Valley facility. There's a KARMA Innovation and Customization Center. This is where the magic happens. This is where all the value is created. So the big thing for us as KARMA is we are America's ultra-luxury vehicle manufacturer right here in Southern California. Really, really proud of the fact that between our headquarters an hour away and here in our plant, we are building the cars that are going to really set the pinnacle for American ultra-luxury. Super proud of the workforce that we have here. And again, the big thing for us is to make sure that as we're building the cars, we focus on the experience. Cars are not just a mode of transportation. They're a part of your life. It's one of the most important things that you buy, and they represent who you are. We want our cars and our process and our plant and our people to be a reflection of the people who own them. So thanks for joining us.